All right. So when we last played, I'll run through what everybody was saying. We left our hardy fellowship in a couple of interesting situations. Our friend Hamson is currently surrounded by a gaggle of children, children of men, who are various different ages, but all relatively young. I would say they're all probably under the age of 12. And they are on the top floor of the lumber mill, kind of looking out the windows down into the open yard where what once was a rickety looking tower of some kind has collapsed thanks to the shoulder check of the courageous and hardy Narniel, who brought down the tower with one fell swoop, only to hear a child crying out in pain as the tower collapsed to the ground. And then she heroically was ripping parts of the flimsy wood out of the way to find a child lying scratched and bruised and bloody, but quite alive and largely uninjured in the wreckage, whom she helped pull to her feet. While at the same time, in the rear corner, where a gap had been found by Traston, and who entered in stealth to check things out, and has still not been discovered, was shortly followed by Shadon, who was peeking in through the kind of opening in the fence, only to be discovered by a stout dwarf, who called him out and asked what he was doing. At which point, Shadon realized there was no danger and went running for the hillock in the distance at the edge of the tree line, waving down Iraniel, who currently had her bow pulled and drawn, ready to provide cover fire into the camp. And so I will leave it to all of you.
We are the worst house guests ever.
You guys are.
I brought cakes. I'm perfect.
I'm
Sorry.
not here.
You're perfect. I know. We were told it was enemies.
But there still might be enemies.
I did forget that important point. Shadon did ask the dwarf something along the lines of, like, we were told that this place was taken, and the dwarf said that it was empty when he arrived a few weeks ago. And that's as far as conversations had gotten.
Yeah. Which explains why we've been seeing the fire and stuff. Yeah.
But can you tell me, good dwarf, how was the condition of this place? Was there any large tracks or signs of trolls?
Trolls? I don't know. I'm not a tracker. I wouldn't know how to determine if there were trolls. There was some damage here and there to the fence that I had repaired. Had to clean out some of the buildings to make them more comfortable for the children.
And what do you propose to do with this place other than keep it as your homestead? Because we do have people from a village not far away who once occupied this place and used it as a lumber mill.
Oh, well, why'd they leave?
Because of the troll.
What troll? I've seen no troll.
And am I muted?
We hear you.
I don't think so. I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, Dave said, "Are you muted?" No.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, what a one-sided conversation it was.
Oh, very quiet. Well, hopefully this is better. All right, that I can arrange. So hopefully this is good.
Yeah, you sound fine to me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I just turned up the sound on the stream. You said you're coming through.
Cool.
So yeah, he seems confused by the whole troll business. He doesn't deny that there may have been someone holding the mill, because it definitely looked lived in by people who certainly were not taking good care of it. But like he said, when he arrived with the first few children, the place was empty.
How many children are actually at this mill?
So if Hampson bothers to take a head count in the second floor of the mill,
we're probably sat with our feet over the stairway looking down. Oh, they look a bit scary, but they're not really.
so he counts 13, or I'm sorry, 12, and then the one that Narnia pulled out of the wreckage is 13.
13-year-old. Oh,
Am I with Am I up here with?
I would imagine you,
Yeah.
when Shadon was waving you down, you probably worked
Yeah.
your way up.
Okay.
Would you? I assume you probably would have followed him to the
Mhm.
breach in the fence, although the
Yep.
breach is not quite large enough for you to slip through. So the dwarf, seeing you, says, "Might as well let you in too," and he starts heading towards the gate. At that point, as he comes around the corner, because remember the breach was kind of behind the workshop. As he comes around the corner, he sees Narniel pulling the young girl up out of the wreckage of the tower, and turns and looks back at the elves and says, "Hey, what are you about here?" And at that point, he pulls a hammer off of his belt.
I turned around to him at that point. It's like, look, I'm meant no harm. We were told this place had been taken over. I assumed by the goblins, the grave robbers, or anything that we've come across before. I acted. I apologized. Didn't think. It's okay.
She's nice, really. Oh, cried from upstairs.
Was it a little girl?
Yeah,
All right,
and
yeah.
she's
So she's okay instead of it.
she's weeping. She looks like she's in a little bit of pain. She's kind of holding one of her arms close to her body. I would imagine at that point you probably Iraniel has probably reached the front gate.
Yeah,
It's still closed.
I think I would have done whatever call we have to try and shout out.
Sure.
And obviously, if I get a call back and know that she's close, I would go to her and let her in. Because obviously, she needs to come and heal this child that I may or may not have maimed. We
So,
don't
yeah,
know if she was injured
see all
before.
this.
We don't know if she was
Narniel
injured
pushes
before.
open the gate, and you see the tumble down tower, the young girl who's bruised and bleeding, and looks like she's hurt. You see a stout dwarf kind of halfway back through the yard, brandishing his hammer. And I don't know if Shadon's come around the corner at this point or what
And do I
Traston
see
is
all
doing.
this?
Yeah, I was talking.
Yeah, I
about
mean,
before.
you would have been able to see and hear all of this from your vantage point. You can reveal yourself at any time, but you're still hidden.
Yeah, I'm still wondering, should I reveal myself? Because do I want to be shown as part of this group? I mean,
I just walk through, throw my bow into its wherever you stash these things, and I'm like, oh, let me just check this young child over.
But,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
I would have just been ignoring the dwarf and just gone straight to Iraniel. It's like, help, fix it.
God's sake! And I go
Takes a
over.
step. The dwarf takes a step forward. Are you an herbalist? A healer?
Yes, leave me to her, and I'll sort it out.
All
And
right.
So, I'll just say this is a very bad situation. And as I'm checking her over and looking, I'm going. We were told there was something bad happening here. We came to clear out this area. Obviously, there's been a very bad misunderstanding, and we apologise now. Anything. Let me sort this little girl out. and we will sit down and we can talk through what's occurred.
All right. Well, bring her into the mill.
And I'm following. I sort of.
And
I pick her up.
he heads into the mill and leaves the door open. Pulls as you walk in. He's like pulling out like a cot or something from the side.
And then I will give her a check over.
Yeah, she's fine. She's scraped. She's bruised. She's bleeding in a couple of places. You could potentially, if you wanted to make a healing check, you could potentially ease some of her little scrapes and maybe help her healing along. But she's not seriously injured.
I will for the roly dicey thing.
Sure.
I'm going to come down the stairs now with the kids, with some sweets or some gifts of food for the young girl to help her out, to help Raniel in basically distracting her from the pain that she's suffering.
The dwarf turns around when he notices you. He's like, "Oh, where are you all coming from?"
Oh, I was here already. The children are lovely. You've looked after them well. I did kind of spoil them with some cake, though. I hope that's okay.
You keep on spoiling
I don't
them,
care.
Hanson.
If they like cake, they can have cake. Makes no difference to me.
What about apple pie? Have you got any apples around?
Maybe in the stores.
Oh, apple pie! Kids, let's go find some apple pies. Apples for apple pie.
I turn
Show
to
me
the dwarf. She's going to be fine, and we again accept our apologies. So, who's in charge here? Maybe be able to sit down and speak with them?
Who's in charge? Well, it's just me and the kids, ain't it?
You and 13 kids.
Yeah.
You're out here on your own?
Well, I was. And then I ran into some kids. They didn't have nobody. So they said they could come with me, and then I found some more kids. Every time I go out, I seem to find more kids.
Where are they coming from? Have you found out?
Oh, I don't know. They keep to themselves. They play amongst themselves. They don't much talk to me. And so if he comes closer as you're treating the one child, she does kind of seem a little bit more withdrawn towards him. Maybe because he's, I don't know, like a dwarf, and maybe they've never seen one. But they don't seem to be as engaging with him. When she saw you, well, actually, when she saw Narniel too, her eyes got kind of big, and you're really getting the sense that the weeping is more for like seeing someone like an adult that she recognizes as like, not that they don't see the dwarf as a person, but he's different. He's not like them.
Okay, I turn to Narniel and I say, take this young girl to Handsome and explain the situation to Handsome and just have a chat with the children, check all is well. And I stand up and grab the dwarf's arm and go, let's sit down around the fire, let's have a chat.
All right.
And I walk him towards the fire.
Yeah, he sits down and he pulls out a pipe and, tamps out his pipe and puts some tobacco in it.
The children, are they dwarvish or human or?
Oh no, they're men. They're children of men. Like, it's very obvious. Like, some of them are almost taller than he is at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's taller than Hampson, obviously, but not by much.
So, all these children, have you spoken to them? Have you found out where their guardians are?
When I find them, I ask if they're okay, and if they got any place to go, and they say no, and I say, well, I got food, got a place you can stay. But I mean, talk to them. What do we got to talk about?
Totally not sus.
That's very, very noble of you. But it's rather worrying that so many children are out on their own in a woods that is supposed to be infested with goblins and trolls.
Well, I've seen a few here and there. I've taken care of them.
But it's very, very strange. We were under the impression that this place was overrun with goblins and that they couldn't use this mill to help.
No, the mill was overrun by bandits, they said, not by trolls or anything.
Well, they actually didn't know.
Yeah.
They didn't know who took it over from them.
I think we assumed it was bandits.
Right. All the people of Archit knew was that the people they had stationed at the mill were defeated at some point. And then shortly, and this is months ago, and shortly after that, they sent a few patrols to check out the mill and potentially try and retake it. And those people were lost as well. So they don't really know what held the mill. In response to Iraniel, though, the dwarf says, I knew that there was some townsfolk nearby. I've seen their hunters, but I've not engaged with them. They've not engaged with me. I assumed that this place was just simply abandoned.
And you're planning to set up home here? Or are you just moving on and we got stuck with 13 children?
Well, my business to see to. I figured I'd set up a place rather than a camp out in the woods. I'd use this place that was abandoned. Works for me.
And how long do you intend to stay?
Well, until the rutting's done. Probably another month or two. Then I was going to head back to the Blue Mountains, and see if the children wanted to join me. There are some human settlements up roundabouts there.
It's very odd about the children. Maybe we need to inquire about that. Shadon, do you find it strange that there's 13 children just random in the forest without no guardians or homes?
Well, we know there's been attacks on settlements here. It probably bears us, we probably bear a responsibility to try to reunite them with their family.
So, going over to Narnia... Oh, sorry, did you want to say something, Scoon?
Yeah, I'm listening from outside, because
okay. You're still in. Right.
And everything I hear coming out of the dwarf, it sounds too suspicious.
Okay.
It's too easy to say it like that. I just found the children and I helped. Yeah. Why would you help so many children if you're the only dwarf here?
God forbid, there's nice people in this world.
Yeah, keep in mind, this is Middle Earth, and he is one of the free people.
Still.
This isn't a grimdark setting.
It's like children we've got to watch out for.
As gruff as he might be, he's not going to leave unattended children in the woods.
But it's a dwarf. I'm an elf.
That's fair. But you do also recognize it would be uncommon for an elf to automatically assume that a dwarf is a servant of the enemy.
Well, I'm not saying
impossible.
That. I'm not saying
I'm just
that.
saying. Yeah, I'm just trying to put it into perspective.
What
you can be suspicious. I just don't. Let me be clear. I don't want you to be suspicious to the point of firing an arrow through the window into this dwarf.
No, I would just first go inside and then shoot. No, I'm not like that.
Let's go over to Narniel and Strain and Hamson talking to the kids.
Okay, so as soon as Iraniel told me to do that, I would, because I don't see my characters having much interaction with the children because generally just left that to Iraniel.
Okay.
Because it just been out wandering, going on adventures, been training, but obviously being any genuine human being, I will offer out a hand to the child, and then whether they take it or not, and just it's literally just there you go. Like, just give a hand. But yeah, go over to Hampson.
Yeah, they seem fascinated with Hampson.
We'll be in the pantry, finding apples and all the ingredients to make pastry. And I've probably got some of the kids sorting the apples out, and I'm showing other kids making the pastry, kneading the pastry. We've got the fire stoked of the stove, and we are prepping a big apple pie.
Yeah, so as going in seeing this, I'd just over the top just be like, so Hampson, you got a job for one more? Look down at this girl's like, if you're well enough.
Oh, we've always got space for more. We're making apple pie. Now, you wouldn't happen to know
eyes light up at that.
where there's any cinnamon. Do we have any cinnamon? I'm sure the dwarf will have any, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's... She pulls a cinnamon packet out from, a corner of the pantry.
That is just what we needed. We'll add a nice little taste to our apple pie. Oh, when was the last time you lot had apple pie?
Ages.
Oh, this is going to be so good. Now, I do have a friend. Well, I say a friend out there. He doesn't like real food. He's a funny elf. Not the one that's upstairs. The one that is out there is a nice elf. I've got another elf. He must be sneaking in the forest somewhere. You have to watch him. He puts swords at people's bellies. Only eats lambus bread. I think it's upset his digestion. I think he is. That's why the lambus bread gives him constipation. Oh, it's so obvious.
Shoot an arrow through the window and not hit the dwarf. But
no wonder he's so unhappy. He's constipated. Oh, that explains a lot. Anyway, let's get the apple pie done.
I will move around in the kitchen.
They're definitely more at ease in the kitchen, and they are. A couple of them ask you some questions like, what's your name? Where are you from? Not the one that you cause to crash to the ground. She's kind of shying away from you a little bit, but some of the other ones.
I mean, how rude.
There might be some flour going flying across the room and across Narnia. She may come out of this kitchen with a bit of flour on her.
Yeah. So I'll answer all the questions.
And they're asking similar questions of Hampson, too. They don't wait for him to finish talking about food. They just shoot questions at him. Are you a hobbit? Where are you from? What family? Do you know this family? Are you from this place?
I'm very familiar with them. Oh, they have such a lovely, lovely kitchen. Oh, they make the most wonderful roast pork. Oh, the crackling is to die for. It's just so... Oh.
I'll be asking the few that are talking... I'll pick one or two out of them and just ask them the same questions, like, so where are you from? How do you know that family? To try and get a gauge of how many different areas these children are actually from.
So, in the few minutes that you guys have to just kind of ask a few basic questions of the children, you get, from the ones that are responsive to you, you get kind of a similar story that they're all from the area. Like, some are from Chetwood, some are from homesteads in the Weather Hills, a little bit further to the north, and their families... So, I mean, they get a little cagey about it, but they basically tell you that they were told to run. Their farms and their homes were attacked, and they don't know if their families are even alive. A couple of them say that they've seen horrible looking, just misshapen, green and gray skinned. One of them says goblins. Yeah, that's right, goblins and orcs. And one of them even says that she saw a troll leading them.
Wow. So how long have y'all been here?
The numbers are slightly different from all of them, but the longest one, the young boy who holds up his hand, he says 2 weeks.
Okay. So I think at this point I will turn it back to Hampton, just like, so how long has it been that you guys have been in the kitchen and you're going to be able to have some fresh apple pie?
Yeah, they're super excited. They brighten up again. Yeah. So back to Narniel Shadon, and still waiting to see if Traston gets involved, talking to the dwarf.
I think it's a big responsibility for you to have 13 children. There is a homestead a little bit down the forest. Maybe we can see if they will take the children on.
We should
But you think
definitely
they would?
bring them back to Fitch.
Those folk that live up in the trees, they seem awfully cagey, awfully suspicious.
In what way?
Well, I mean, every time I've approached any of their hunting parties, they've drawn down on me, told me to clear out.
They didn't.
I think they just didn't get a chance to know you well enough.
That's just maybe, but taking care of these little piglets ain't nothing for me.
No, and it's very honourable of you, but it would be hard for you to travel back with 13 little ones.
Oh, well, I'll just build a wagon, won't I? Plenty of lumber here. And I got my boars, carry the wagon.
Well, and you're going to be here for another month.
Well, you see, there's a particular breed of boar that I have to, I don't know what the word for animal husbanding is, but breeding. He's breeding boar. And there's a male in these woods that he always brings his sows down to mate with. And he's like, three of them I've already been successful. I was gonna let the last one out tomorrow, let her wander in the place where I think he is. I don't know why he's turning into a backwoodsy dwarf, but apparently he is. He's not Scottish.
Okay, well, we came here to check that this mill was clear of danger. So, I mean, would you be happy if they allowed you to stay here and they still use the mill as they did previously?
Oh, well, sure. I mean, if you can open contact with them, I've got no problem talking to them. I certainly don't need to be responsible for these children if they'll take responsibility for them.
And I mean, you know, you've done repairs. I'm sure they would allow you to stay here while you sorted your affairs.
I really only need the stable until all the girls have litters. Then I can head back.
I can't see that being a problem.
Why
You're not a troll or a goblin or a bandit.
I mean, they may even ask you to stay here if this is where you want to be. And therefore, you'd be watching the place at night and you'd be around. It wouldn't look abandoned. Nobody could come and take it over just like that if it's still inhabited. I think for everybody to be happy here.
I don't know. I might be able to work out a deal with their leader.
Sounds... Well, you're not what we expected. And this was the only area they asked us to check. Yes? I don't know.
Well, to be honest, if we had maybe a ranger of the north or two with us, it might not be a bad idea to see if we could pick up Fitch's trail. We're a little concerned about what he might be up to on the anniversary of his father's death.
I assumed he was going after the troll.
Correct.
So,
Well, didn't Narniel say she had a signal? So maybe if we send the signal up that it's safe here.
That is what they wanted us to do, yeah.
And then they will come. And I don't, it won't take them long, will it? It won't take them long if they're...
oh no! Again, they're fairly close.
Okay.
And Fitch said he was going to tell some of his men to keep an eye on the place.
Okay. Excuse me, and I excuse myself and head down to where Handsome and Narniel is. And
Okay.
I'm going
You can probably smell now apple pie cooking.
Yeah.
Handsome, I see you're enjoying yourself as usual.
Oh, yes, I've made some great young friends here. Look, this is Araniel. She's nice as well. She's lovely. She's so helpful. She looks after us all the time. I make sure she's well fed, as you can see. And Narnia, you've got some flour on your nose. Have you got a cloth for her? Yes, no.
You do so well, so well.
Yes.
Narniel, you mentioned there was a signal. I can't see why this area is safe. We could signal to them and get them here, and then we have a few things to discuss with them. You've still got it, yes?
Oh no, I gave it to Hamson.
Oh, sorry.
Hamson's in charge of the fires. You still got that powder, Hamson, in that little pocket?
Yes. I do have some of it left. Yes.
Right, signal with it.
I know what's wrong with him, you know. The children gave me the idea.
What's wrong with who?
Well, you know, grumpy up there.
Well, we don't really know him.
Traston.
Oh, him.
Yeah.
I'm not.
The lambus bread has given him constipation.
Oh, okay.
That's why he was grumpy. That's why he put the sword in my belly. He was
And there's
constipated.
I'm sure
There's like three children standing behind Hamson, like,
Yeah, see, they agree. Constipated. He needs a good clearing out. I could make him some lambus bread with something to make him go.
We are not adding things to each other to a friend's diet.
Well, he put a sword in my belly. I don't consider him a friend.
I'm showing myself, and I'm like,
A worse, a
you
traveling
will never
companion.
be able to make lambus bread because you will not get the recipe.
I'm sure this could be discussed at a more appropriate time. Hanson,
I'll take
you
the,
need to get- you
He
need
might-
to
That's
get back.
probably why he was scared of the spiders. He was so blocked up that he didn't want to go down into the hole in case he, needed to go.
Had to
finally. Elves, they live for a long time, don't they? It could be hundreds of years since he last went.
Hanson,
Yes. Oh, you wanted the powder. There you go. Apple pie will be ready in about 20 minutes or so.
okay.
So, kids, do you want to go see something that should be magical?
Oh, the apple pie.
Yay,
They're here. They're here, the apple pie.
so you're gonna go start a fire outside?
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
we go outside, light the fire. As I'm leaving, Hanson, can you make something other than apple pie to make sure the children have a proper meal, not just sweet sugar apples?
You did see.
Of course, yes. I'll find something for them.
You did see in the pantry there are several stacks of well portioned out meat that your nose tells you is the same meat that you smelled searing earlier. So it smells like they're using the boar meat as, their kind of main staple.
Are we sure it's boar meat and not secretly children's meat that the dwarves actually eat the children?
There's not a lot of meat on children, to be fair.
Wow.
Not as much as you saw in there.
For an elf, you are very interesting.
Very dark elf.
He's constipated!
You've had some bad things happen, and I think you need to
This wasn't
adjust
something
your
I
aura
actually said.
into the fact you're in Mother Earth.
Even if he had said it though, it would be kind of funny because it's been a while since The Hobbit happened. Right? So like the forest elves definitely have an issue with dwarves and hobbits actually. Because of the whole episode with Bilbo and Thorin's dwarves traveling through the woodland realm. But yeah, I think Traston knows at heart that they're not bad people. But yeah, it's still
There's still
whole
a
battle of five
bit
armies.
of animosity between.
A little bit. It's not like as strong as like Warhammer levels between elves and dwarves, but it's there. It's there.
If that was the point, then Hamson would already have an arrow through his head.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so would the dwarf probably. But at any rate, if you go outside, right? If you go outside, it's relatively easy with the remains of the watchtower to start a small fire to throw the powder into. Is the powder packet full, or did Hamson open it up and secret some away?
It may be slightly less full than it was. I probably did, hide some away.
Okay. But there is enough powder there to signal. So if you choose to do so, it should be relatively short period of time until some people from Archer show up.
Yeah.
Should we make it like a flare? So stick it on an arrow, put it on fire, and then shoot it up.
Well, it's supposed to change the color of the smoke, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it changes the
powder.
smoke.
Uh,
So, I mean, you could potentially do that, but it's more kind of you can see while looking at it that it's more designed to just be thrown onto a fire and let the smoke kind of build and billow up.
Okay.
Wow, this should be great fun for the children.
Yeah, I would have took them out and just like, come and watch this. I don't know what's going to happen, but they said it was going to be colourful.
So, well, a color at least. As the fire grows and whomever throws the powder upon it, the smoke that's billowing up out of the fire starts to turn kind of actually a couple of different shades of like deep hunter green and viridian, and the smoke itself seems to like morph in this greenish color as it billows up. And even kind of glows a little bit, even in daylight. So it definitely would catch the eye of someone from afar.
Well, which is what we were giving it for, yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll probably just sit with that for a little bit. Literally just let the kids sit down and watch it.
Okay, I mean, it's probably gonna be about an hour until anybody shows up. So is there anything else you want to do?
We should probably try to learn the name of the kids. It's probably Doc and Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy,
What?
Bashful.
no, it's
Dopey.
kid 1, kid 2, kid 3, kid 4, kid 5.
I have their names if you would like
Oh, you
them.
do?
Yeah.
Wow, he's prepared.
Yeah.
Do they
Also,
have
nobody
their
knows
family names?
Nobody asked the name. I have their family names. Nobody asked the names of the dwarf yet either.
No, we don't care.
Oh, we do. Come on, yes.
I think I would have introduced ourselves and
I
asked him.
think
That's
so.
my.
So the dwarf's name is Digger Boar Breeder from the Blue
Digger.
Mountains. And the children.
He is a dwarf and he digs a diggy hole.
Yep,
Diggy hole.
Digger ball pizza.
Digger Boar Breeder.
And he
The child that was in the tower, her name is Myrna Fernsedge. Then there's Billiam Cooper, Shelley Creekside,
I am not right.
Thom Acorn Shuck, Elise Ivory Blossom, Jacoby Smythe, Triss Sparkshower, Janice Sparkshower, Aline Leafcut, Sean Snow Foam? Yeah, Foam is what I have. Will Shadetree, Cheryl Lightfall, and Derek Alehorn. These are all clearly Bree land type names. Usually, kind of natural type items and so forth, or jobs in the case of Billiam Cooper. So these are all clearly children from around here. And as I said, as you talk to them and kind of learn their names from a couple of them, they kind of give you an idea of where their homestead was. There's a lot of homesteads out there. I mean, villages are relatively common, but not everybody lives in a village, and people kind of go out and they find a plot of land and they work it. I mean, even Hamsun's family doesn't live in one of the main Hobbit towns. They have a farm that they let's be honest, a Hobbit farm and homestead is usually much more grand than anything men produce, but still, it's kind of the same idea. As you have several outbuildings, and generally several families live there. So although not all of these children are related to each other, when you get like the amount of time that they've been here, it turns out that several of the children they've come to the dwarf in groups, right? And he basically found them all in various states of disrepair in the woods, and slowly brought the groups back to give them a safe place to shelter.
The children has the richest parents.
Which one has the richest parents?
Yeah.
Well, they're all from Steaders, so I mean, well, they're all from Steaders, so it's not really a matter of riches. I mean, they all.
Do we get a feeling that they're not being mistreated by this guy? That he's genuinely just doing what he's.
They all look healthy. Yeah. They look healthy. Their clothing is a little threadbare at this point, but you don't get the feeling that he's a seamstress, right?
Yeah.
But
on their bellies,
he's
fed or Hamsun fed.
So it's obvious to us that he's not mistreating them, and
no, I mean, there's no indication that any of them are mistreated.
Okay, that's cool.
Just maybe largely ignored. It seems like, if anything, he probably gives them, or helps them prepare or provides food for 3 meals a day, and they have a place to sleep. And one of them tells you the story of how he grudgingly provided them with some lumber to build their little watchtower that they wanted to. And he complained about it the whole time, how it was structurally unsound and it was going to fall at any moment.
Dwarfs are grumpy, as we know.
Hurt someone. That's more than enough meals for a day.
I think he's being perfectly kind and nice. He's doing the proper thing, and I respect that.
So obviously I'm going to do a little bit of an awareness, a little scout around the area just to check the safety and
sure.
There's nothing untoward in the area at this present moment in time. So
about how long after you light the smoke are you going to do that?
Pretty much while the smoke's going, to be honest.
Like the whole time you're going to do like rounds? Is that what you're saying?
I was just having a look at the lumber mill because it's still sealed in. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
There is a breach in the northeast corner, back by the workshop, but it's relatively small.
Okay.
So an elf fits, I can tell you that. Out of experience.
Yeah, an elf would fit, a hobbit would fit through it, a child would fit through it, but not the rangers.
Yep.
A goblin
I'm going to go through the front
but
gate
not a full-sized orc.
And literally walk around and check the perimeter once,
sure.
And just maybe take Narniel with me or something. Just to make sure that while we're there, it's secure as far as we can tell.
All right. So there's no indications of anything strange going on around the sawmill. Probably unsurprisingly, because it is midday. So it's not long if you continue to kind of keep watch and just kind of walk around. It's not long before you see some people from Archit coming down the path from the direction of the village. And it looks to be like probably some just normal laborers, maybe people that had worked at the mill before, in addition to a couple of hunters and a couple of people who look like they're more kind of geared towards guard type work, with light coats of mail and some spears. And yeah, they come down the road, they see you, and they're like, is everything safe?
Smell apple pie.
Yeah, they do.
Everything is absolutely fine. I'm surprised that no one had even come forward to check out what was going on here. There's a dwarf here with 13 children that have lost their family, and he's caring for them. There's no trolls and there's no goblins or bandits here.
Well,
War for children.
we haven't seen anyone, like, we haven't sent anyone to check on the mill since we lost a couple of squads a few months ago. A couple of groups.
Well, it's absolutely fine now. It's been abandoned, and a dwarf has been into the mill, and he's here for a month or so while he's with his boars. Boars are in season, so he's here. So he's taken resident, but he's happy to stay while you restart the mill or whatever.
Oh.
No issue, but he's completely safe. Come in and meet him.
So yeah, they follow you in, and he's actually, after he heard that you were sending someone out, he's actually, in the meantime, and everyone else would have seen him doing this, he's like set up a table in the lower area of the sawmill, and it's got fruit and berries, and he was pleased to see Hamson working on the pie, and there's some salted meats and some smoked meats that he had in a barrel, and he's kind of setting all of that up on just kind of an open table there, probably hoping to make a good impression on the people from Arshit.
Oh, bless him. I'm going to give him a good
I think Narniel, because the children were outside, would, if they were distracted by the fire, I think Narnia would have started sorting through the rubble that she caused to see what was salvageable and might be able to make the little watchtower again that they had. Because I didn't cut it down, did I? I just rammed it.
Yeah, you just rammed it. And I mean, the closer you're looking at it, the more you realize it literally was just a construction of children. Like, it was planks hammered together with nails that the dwarf probably just said they could use. You could probably build something better for them with these scraps and with the lumber that's available already at the mill. You're certain the dwarf could have easily made them something sturdy as well, but he seems to have been that has not been his focus.
He's got balls to look after.
I think I'd probably make a start on that, just to attempt to try and teach the kids, like, no, that you should do this, be better.
Some of them come over and watch as you're working on it, and as you're kind of sorting through the scraps of the fallen tower, you notice that some of the boards, probably on what would have been the interior part of the boards, have kind of colorful drawings on them that would have been made with some kind of colored wax. And you've probably heard of such things, possibly even, had such things as a child yourself. Your people are not uncultured, they just kind of tend to live in camps in the wilderness rather than in towns.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's some of the kids, not Myrna, she's kind of staying away from the tower and you, but they are definitely interested in what you're doing, and some of them kind of run off and then come back, and they're holding bits of wood for you to use, some of which might be okay, and others are like, why did you pick this random scrap? Like, that's not big enough to do anything. You're probably not saying that to the children, I would imagine, but that's up to you.
Depends how many times it happens.
Oh yes, she would.
I'd probably hold it in the first couple of times, but then it's like, no, just no, that's not what you want.
No, this isn't good. So if you're doing that, then I imagine Iraniel goes inside the sawmill with I guess we can call them the delegation from Archit.
Mm-hmm.
And then what are Traston, Shadon, and Hamson doing?
Hanson will be bringing out the food.
I'll be sorting out a wonderful, wonderful meal.
Okay.
Searching for some wine, but not letting the children have any.
All right.
I think I would still be searching around the place for signs of trolls, like just something that would demonstrate that yes, there was a valid reason.
Okay.
For them.
Well, it's been like an hour, so where are you going to focus your searching?
Oh, within this area, meaning
within the sawmill itself.
Yeah, because the last time somebody mentioned that there was in trouble with trolls, it really didn't turn out to be that.
Right. True. Tell you what then, why don't you give me a scan roll?
Okay.
As you investigate the sawmill.
All right. I mean, I can give you several reasons, but I think the results of why I shouldn't will speak for themselves.
Hang on, I'm not looking at the table. Is it bad?
It's not bad, it's not good.
Bad, but it's
a failure.
But it's a failure.
Okay. So there are some indications of damage to the walls that doesn't seem like something that the dwarf or the children would probably have done. In a couple of places at varying heights, particularly along the back wall of the mill, there are some scoring and some deep grooves in the wall.
I don't know. I have children. You'd be surprised at what damage they're capable of causing and where.
Some of them are higher, though, than you think any of the children could reach.
Again, but okay.
But that is a fair point. That's a fair point. I don't have children. I wouldn't know. So yeah, but your intense focus and investigation is telling you it probably was not the children,
right,
or the dwarf.
And I'm not supposing that it was. I'm just looking for proof. I'm looking for proof positive of what it was that caused the damage.
Well,
which I can't find at this point.
You could always use your Elf of Rivendell abilities. Don't forget that. But we'll move to Traston. What is Traston doing in the meantime?
I would say I would have taken some wood from the to close up that hole that I came into.
Oh, you're gonna close the breach.
Very structural weakness.
Smart. So, do you have any level of craft?
I have 1 level of craft.
So yeah, go ahead and give me a craft roll.
Please
do you indicate to anyone that this is something you're going to look into doing to see if maybe anybody wants to assist, or are you just going to take care of it?
Well, I'm picking up wood and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to make sure the safety of this place is enhanced.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm not that good at crafting.
Still though, you take the wood back to the back corner there, and the door to the workshop is open, right? So I would imagine, probably step inside the workshop and grab a random hammer and grab some nails and just kind of use that piece of wood, or maybe you also have to go and grab a couple other ones because you didn't have a good eye for it, to then just kind of nail close this closure.
With this roll,
so it is
I
covered.
almost think that when I grab a nail and I see the pointy end up, that I throw it away because it's not the right way.
Possibly.
And
struggling because he's constipated. That's what it is.
But you definitely get
Stupid half.
You definitely get a couple of boards over the opening, and you get them nailed into place. You have no idea how secure that is, but you step back and the hole is closed, and you call it a good job. So the delegation enters the sawmill, and one of the people, not one of the archers and not one of the not soldiers, but I guess, militiamen or guards, if you will, one of the laborers steps forward and kind of looks around, and first of all notices the big old brown stain on the saw itself, and looks a little perturbed at that, but then steps forward and heads towards the dwarf and introduces himself as Thomas Thistledown. And the dwarf introduces himself, and do any of you want to take part in the conversation, or do you want to leave them to just hash things out?
Apple pie? Anyone wants any apple pie?
Your hospitality is overwhelming.
I do try. Always try and make sure there's a good meal.
One of the archers is like, I'll have a piece of apple pie.
It's fresh. Children helped me. It was lovely. They're such good cooks. They could be of a good work in the village.
Oh, good call. Nice. And so, sorry, Ange, you were saying what?
I was talking about hospitality. Oh, you mean what I just wrote in chat?
Oh, no. I was... Yeah. So, you were speaking to Digger, I guess?
Yes. Well, let's all be seated and we can chat. So, as you can see, there is no danger here. Though there's a lot of children here.
Yours.
He said there was obviously no signs of anyone here when he arrived.
So, Thomas says, well, I used to be the foreman of the mill. I wasn't here when it was taken from us the first time. But, we've stopped coming after we lost a couple of our patrols that we sent out to see what happened. This was months ago, you understand. And Digger points out that he only found the place a couple of weeks ago and it was abandoned. One of the archers says, ain't we seen you out in the woods? To Digger. And Thomas kind of turns and and you didn't think to tell anybody? And they have just kind of a discussion on how he's a strange dwarf in the woods. What do you expect us to do? We was out hunting. We didn't think wasn't important. He went on his way. And Digger was like, well, you drew bows on me. Of course I went on my way. So it seems kind of rough, but nobody's really antagonistic towards each other.
No. Just stating facts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it seems like there was just kind of a lot of miscommunication going on.
Ale?
What's that?
Ale? As I pour ale in front of everyone?
Yeah, the men definitely, and
Hampton's
Digger.
being the host with, just ransacking through as if it was a hobbit feast. He doesn't care that he's using all the supplies that are in here. He is just providing the most wonderful feast ever.
Digger actually doesn't seem to be too upset with you either. In fact, Digger is showing Hampson a lot of deference, almost as if he's had a lot of dealings with hobbits. So, or maybe stories of Bilbo and his engagement with Thorin and company has reached the Blue Mountains, which is also possibly likely.
And he's not constipated as well, so he's happy.
No, dwarves seldom are constipated.
Exactly. They don't eat lambus bread.
Right, exactly. Can't stomach it. So yeah, I mean,
more interested in the lambus bread than the elf is. I mean, come on.
Is anyone is Iraniel or Shaidan, or is anyone wanting to try and smooth this over and assist him, like
100%.
coming to some kind of deal? Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I was going to say, as they were chatting away, I can say, well, it seems that there's a slight miscommunication, but I can't see any harm with allowing Digger to stay here and you regaining control of the mill. You might have to up your patrol and maybe secure the fences some more. I can't, and I sort of look at them and say, so I can't see a problem, can you, in allowing him to stay here to finish off what he was here doing?
So Thomas inquires what exactly Digger is doing, and Digger explains, he's got 4 sows. He's trying to get them impregnated by kind of a large boar that he knows is in the area and has bred his sows with before successfully. And that he's basically, he found this place and was using the stables for his sows. Which if anybody has gone to check on these things, I know Traston has seen them, but they're big. Like they're larger than horses at this point. And it seems like this is something that Digger has been doing for a number of years. The way he spoke of it is he brings the sows of one generation, the biggest and the best sows, down to this area from the Blue Mountains to find and mate with this boar that he swears is always the same boar, and he's been doing this for years. But this
oh my god,
this giant male boar has been vital and bred with his sows for, he says, he's a dwarf, he's not young, let's say for 10 generations of his sows he's been bringing them down to breed with this boar, which sounds strange to definitely the elves and the rangers. Like that, there's something odd about a boar that's that old, but stranger things, right? And yeah, he says, as he told Iraniel earlier, he's got maybe another month or so to make sure that the last sow has a litter, and then he was planning on heading back.
So what I find most curious is that with such able hunters, if there was indeed a boar that was in the area for that long, it would have been hunted long ago, I imagine.
Well, I'm more in this way that if that boar is such a good boar for breeding, why didn't you just capture it and use it in his farm?
It's a good question. So
you do that.
You would probably want them to be free range. You don't want,
You can still have free range animal on a farm.
You're asking Digger this?
Well,
are you asking?
I am wondering. I would say, yeah, why don't you just capture this boar, keep it on your farm, and breed it there? Then every time take all your stock here.
He says, I've tried. He's too smart.
Well, he's obviously very smart if he avoided trolls in the area as well as the hunters.
Oh, this big boy, he's got scars to tell of many battles.
Are you sure it is a boar?
Are you sure the scars weren't from the sows?
Would Traston know about what's his name? Radagast, that he can, because he can transform into animals, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, Traston and Shadon would know about Radagast, but you would. First of all, Radagast is one of the wizards. He's the brown wizard. He's roughly equivalent to Gandalf. I don't know that the Rangers would necessarily know much about him, except for possibly a name. But no, Preston would know that Radagast primarily lives in and around Mirkwood. It would be unusual for him to travel this far west. And even then, I don't know that Tracid would think that Radagast would shift into a boar and mate. Although, who knows?
No,
Who
well,
knows?
This is not that
like,
kind of show.
It's not that I'm thinking it like that. It's more, I don't know if there's more brown wizards like Radagast that could shapeshift into animals. Because I know there are a specific amount of specific colored wizards, but I'm not that deep into the lore.
Not the wizards. So there's only, at least in all the writings we have, there's actually only 5 wizards, and we only really know about like 4 of them, right? But Traston, at least, and possibly Shadon would also be familiar with Bjorn, who lives on the edge of Mirkwood, who is, for all intents and purposes, a werebear. I mean, it's not quite that simple, but he is a man that takes the form of a bear. And so...
But I don't think they do it for mating. I think we're going down a weird line there.
No, I'm just saying, so not necessarily for the mating, but I'm saying that it's not...
See...
It's not impossible for... Mating aside, it's not impossible for there to be strange creatures that are not normal, right? So, and even looking at these sows, if they've been breeding with this boar for generations, essentially, like it seems like Digger brings down the best and the biggest of the sows from each generation after they grow up to breed larger. Like this boar might be, it would probably be closer along the lines of like the great eagles, say, where it's just this majestic creature that is larger and more mystical and more long-lived and more intelligent than a normal creature of its kind, if that makes sense.
And I would even posit that a man that can turn into a bear is not the same thing as a bear that can turn into a man.
That's also true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, we're talking about a boar, not a bear.
That's funny. Sorry, I was looking at chat.
Yeah.
So yeah, your guess is, and even the Rangers would know this, there are creatures that are majestic creatures. Like, well, I would say the Rangers, the sisters, have probably seen some of the great stags that are just massive stags, easily twice the size of an average deer that roam the wilderness. And you can always tell there's like an intelligence behind their eyes, and it's kind of an unwritten rule among the Rangers that you don't hunt those stags. Like it's not a good idea. It's almost like they're spirits of the forest, as it were. Yeah. And so for there to be a giant boar like that is not unheard of. It's not something most people would think of. Hamson, well, I mean, there's probably stories amongst hobbits of great beasts. There's even one of a boar that lives in and around the Shire that is quite large and terrifying, but it's actually just a regular sized boar.
Just a regular sized boar, yeah.
I was just gonna say, normal boars, big boars to the hobbits.
Right.
But the reason I want to know this is he is talking about a very old big boar.
Huh?
I'm just thinking he is seeing a specific bigger boar than normal, but that boar is not impregnating his pigs.
Oh no, he assures you that it is. Like, he's made sure that is the boar that is he's mating his sows with.
Here it is.
Very old big boar is what my wife calls me, but I am not the one impregnating the sows, I promise.
So Digger went boring then.
We so need a tangent alert just for this whole boar thing right now. We so do.
I don't know why we're so focused on the husbandry of his boar, but so moving on. So Digger explains his business probably in more detail than Thomas and anyone else wants. And Thomas thinks about it and he says, "Well, I'll need to confer with Fitch. He's our head man. He's the one who runs our shit. but I certainly see no issue with you staying here and breeding your sow until it's time for you to return to the Blue Mountains. And then if you like, I'm certain we can set up a schedule or be prepared for the next time you come down, and possibly you can even trade with us. We would certainly be interested in buying some of your stock. If you breed pigs this large, we can feed a number of people for quite some time with boar of this size. And so they get down to discussing like the possibility of trade and possibly even expanding the mill to include a much larger stable for Digger to be able to use, and the possibility of Digger bringing some of his people with him and possibly setting up a waypoint, as it were. And at least Digger and Thomas seem really excited about the whole venture.
Excuse me. Can I just interrupt your discussion?
Yes.
Yeah. You need to take the children back. They can't really stay here, especially when Digger heads back up to the Blue Mountains.
And at that point, Thomas is like, "Oh my gosh, the children! I've been so focused on business."
Exactly. They've been a great help in the kitchen. They helped prepare the apple pie. I hope you enjoyed it.
So, Thomas seems almost afraid to approach the topic with Digger, but is like, these are clearly sons of men. We can find them homes amongst our people, if that's all right with you.
He found
Digger.
them in the woods, so I think it'll be a good idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
Digger's like, well, yeah, I mean, they should be with their people. I've no issue with you taking charge of the children as long as you treat them well and keep them safe. And so Digger says that, but you can also tell that he kind of chokes up a little bit at it.
Oh my god!
But what that means, Digger, is when you come back down again, you can visit Archie, you can see the children, just make sure they're okay, and that way you can do your trading, and then perhaps help with anything you can help with. It's a win-win for everybody. The children are looked after, there's trade between Archie and Digger and his people. It's all good.
Perhaps you're right, Master Hobbit. Perhaps you're right.
Well, we are small, but we are wise.
It's so wonderful to see this diplomatic side of you, Hampson.
Well, I was also concerned. Digger, have you got anything for constipation? Maybe a herb or something? I know someone that is a bit constipated.
I go over and rest my hand on Digger's shoulder and say,
It's not her. She's okay.
"You did."
It's not Nadia either. It's not me.
I kick him.
It is an elf, though.
You did an honourable thing, and I understand that you feel they are a burden on you, and I understand that your releasing of them is something that you show no emotion to. And then I just squeeze his shoulder and go, but they will always be here, as Handsome said, and safe. Because traipsing through the forest is not always the safest thing, and children are not the quietest of beings. They are noisy and smelly.
Smelly? They're not smelly.
Children are noisy, smelly and snotty, and they could probably cause you a lot of aggro in your travels.
So he nods, and then he walks over to Thomas, and he takes Thomas over to introduce to the children. And if you pay attention while he introduces Thomas to all the children, he knows all of their names. He knows exactly where he found them. He tells Thomas where all the homesteads were that the children told him where they were. And he also says things like, you have to understand, Triss doesn't like her meat seared quite as much as the rest of the children. She prefers rare. And Billiam, he can't have nuts or berries of any kind. They make him very sick, and you cannot give them to him. And he goes on with every child and tells Thomas something of the kind. And Thomas is like, you'll have to come with us to Archit, and we'll take all this information down. He's like, yes, I will. Yeah.
Not only are we horrible house guests, we're also home wreckers.
Oh my god.
Speak
I'm
for
too
yourself. I'm the
emotionally.
perfect
I'm too
host.
emotional now.
It's not my fault, at least.
I think every now and again you'd like at this point you probably will hear Naniel just like raising a voice slightly. It's like no, just to ruin the whole atmosphere. She's like so focused on building, but like they're not listening. Just to get in there and just ruin your whole emotional escapade there. But yeah. Like not listening to anything they're saying. But yeah, just carrying on building and hammering in and just like stay away, go away, get out of the way, and no, I don't need that.
I'm gonna take her some apple pie out because she obviously needs apple pie.
So Digger says it's getting on in the afternoon. We probably don't want to move all the children to your village in the night. You're all welcome to stay here for the evening. We can set up cots for everyone, and the men can see about looking to the defense of the mill as they prepare for more people to come in the morning.
I think Digger would like that because it's another night with the children. So
Yeah,
I don't say that out loud.
I'm
but-
beginning
Sure.
to rethink this, taking children away from him.
The cat's out of the bag now. That's
It
it.
sounds like
The
they
words
have
have
a
been
really
said.
good family.
It's like Peter Pan.
But who's Peter Pan though?
Does that make Traston Captain Hook? Because he's grumpy.
I don't have a hook as a hand.
We could arrange it.
So, are you guys going to stay the evening, or do you have other
Yes,
plans?
I think we
it
will
looks
stay
like
the
this
evening.
is okay.
Yeah.
Well, as it gets on in the evening, so the children are all set up upstairs with small cots. And if any of you go up to engage with the children as they're preparing for bed, you notice that all of the cots are sized perfectly for them, have very clean linens, and each of the cots actually has some pretty in-depth like carving done on the woodwork.
This is killing me.
You're beating us to death, Brian. You're beating us to death.
Stop with this, no!
You know, Digger is a perfectly good parent, and when the children come of age, he can teach them all about the sows and the boars.
That would be
So-
fine if they stayed there, but he can't go traipsing them across to another.
It's a
Yeah, I mean,
long way to the Blue Mountains, man.
Yeah,
Like
it's like,
that's
if he decided to, you know what?
Digger has at no point said no to the people of Archit taking on the children. I want to be clear about that. Keep
We
that
go
in
off on a
mind.
tangent so easily. I will mention to Digger at some point that if he decides to make this a permanent place of residence, then he would be around the children all the time.
So he pulls you aside if you approach him with that, and he
Yes.
says, I understand what you're trying to do, but these kids belong with their folk, and I'm glad, really, that you all came and told me of the village and made a connection for us. I'll be back round. I come here every year, and I will check on them. But they belong with their folk, and Thomas and his folk seem like they're good people.
Yeah, but now I'm thinking that they're not. So it's just.
I thought you liked Archit.
I did.
said how
but
nice
now
it
I'm worried
was.
about the children.
Irenial, the person who cares too much.
Oh.
So, as you prepare to bed down for the evening, I'm just gonna punch you guys a couple of more times into the ground if I can. As you prepare for bed for the evening, you notice that Digger actually climbs the ladder to go up to where the children sleep, and you can hear his deep, rumbling voice singing dwarven songs to them as they all drift off to sleep.
You just...
I can hear Pirate laughing in the background.
Oh my
You're killing us.
Because I'm
between you and chat today, Brian, I'm finished.
For God's sake.
You know, the funniest thing is, normally I would be the reason these things happen, but at this moment, hands off.
Thank God it's not Christmas. He'll be going around putting little stockings on their beds.
Get on with it, how he leans over and gently kisses each one and wishes them goodnight individually.
I mean, is anybody upstairs to watch what happens?
I am now, just because I want you to fill in the, fill in the emotional void that you've created.
If you peek upstairs, after he finishes a song, it looks like all the children are now asleep. And if you're quiet enough and sneaky enough, you can see him walk around to every child and place one hand on their forehead gently and one hand on his chest and bow his head. And he goes to each and every single child and does that 13 times. As they roll over, and he tucks them in tighter before he heads back to the ladder to head down to the workshop.
Wow. Now what we're gonna do?
Take his life away from him.
You have to make them more
Low
children.
blow there, Tony. Low blow. Wow. I'm gonna smash his heart into 13.
I mean, what we should do, I think, because I've thought about it before, I think at some point, if the discussion comes up again about the cells while Naniel is there, I will reiterate the fact that obviously Fitch went out on his big animal hunt, to be careful of, with his cells.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he says, I was planning on taking Sheila out tomorrow, but now with the kids moving to Archit, I think I'll focus on that and getting things set up here for the Archit folk for a few days.
Okay. Well, hopefully he'll be back in a few days, so we don't have to worry about your cell.
Good.
Because I am assuming he literally just lets them out in the wild and they come back pregnant.
He's more than happy to talk to you about animal husbandry any chance that he gets. So if you look inquisitive, he will break it down for you. And yeah, he basically tells you he doesn't just let them go. He takes them out with him, and he tracks the big boar that he's been essentially tracking for many, many years at this point.
Yeah.
Like, longer than obviously most of the people in Archit have been alive. He knows how to track this giant boar. And so he tracks it to a respectable distance and then releases his sow to...
After applying rouge and lipstick.
No, nothing so in-depth.
To himself. Right, okay.
Just to quickly, do any of our... Oh, that's the wrong wording just at that moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Right.
Do any of our characters have a skill where you carve things. What's whittling?
That'd be craft.
Yeah, craft.
Yeah.
Are you talking about
When you can-
scripture?
You can give it a good go, but craft, no.
I've got.
I mean,
Yeah, I
I
think that's
still
kind of
don't
what she
understand-
meant, Skin.
I still
Yeah.
don't understand how I've even attempted to make that tower.
Yeah. I've
And
got
why
one in
would-
craft.
And why would we
um,
scrimshaw? We're in the middle of the forest.
What's scrimshaw?
There aren't wheels here. There aren't wheel bones here.
No, I don't want that. Hampton, do you have it?
I'm a cook.
Craft. Yeah.
You haven't
No, I
got
have craft, but I'm a cook.
So you can't do whittling.
I
Probably.
have.
You know who can? You know who can whittle really well?
Oh.
Oh,
Digger.
No, I wanted to make Digger a present.
Oh, I could.
Oh, I see.
I'd be
Well, I
happy
mean-
to assist you with that.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say, you
yeah.
discussed it, we'd all sit there and just like, right, no,
I
you
want
need
to
to
make
do
him. I
this.
want to make him a little tablet of wood with all the children's name on it.
I would
Oh,
like to
that's-
do that
oh.
and make it a magical success.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what I'll
Yeah.
spend it on.
Absolutely. Spend your hope.
All right.
And so yeah, describe for me this keepsake that you've crafted for with Iraniel's help, although
Well-
with magic as well.
So
Hmm.
Iraniel is the
describe for me this
architect.
keepsake.
She's going to describe it. I will be the hands that translate what she has in mind.
Okay.
We just so get fixated on the wrong things, don't we?
It's
But we
fine.
never get anything done.
I think you guys have done a lot this session. I mean, you've ruined a family.
Yeah, this is
I'm
damage
kidding.
Wow!
control.
Stop with that.
Everybody in the
Hey,
chat is saying it. I just had to say it.
They did that. I didn't.
That's true.
Oh.
Traston had nothing to do with it.
That's because he's constipated, so he's sat in the corner.
Yeah. I tried rebuilding a
The
treehouse.
tower for the children. You did.
I made apple pie.
for the children.
It was whose suggestion? Well,
So you were doing things for the children, and we were ripping them away from
I mean,
Digger.
to be fair, wasn't it was Hampson's suggestion that brought it up
Brought what up?
to take the children?
It was handsome, you home wrecker.
Sorry,
I-
I just had to.
You know, again, Digger has not once said no. I want to point that out.
But did he
It
say
doesn't
yes?
matter what you say. We're making it up as we go along, and we're making our own narrative here.
He knows what's best for the
I'm
children, and this
wondering-
is the ultimate self-sacrifice.
Did Digger ever say yes?
He said
Well,
yes.
He did.
yes.
Yeah, he said this. You know, it'd be better for the
They should
kids.
be better with their own people.
Guys, don't worry. We're gonna go to sleep tonight. In the morning when we
Here-
wake up, Digger and the 13 children will be gone.
To
Elves
wow.
didn't sleep.
To make you feel better about it, Ange, because it seems like you guys are being gut punched by this. Keep in mind that a part of Digger realizes that he's going to outlive these children by generations. So maybe he wants to remember them as children and not have to
Watch them
watch them
die.
grow old and die.
Yeah.
Wow,
Next to
you really
elves-
know how to bring the
No,
mood up.
next to elves, dwarves grow to be the oldest race in Middle Earth.
They're the oldest mortal race in Middle
Yeah.
Earth, yeah.
Wow. Well, it's just an emotional roller coaster.
I mean, to be fair, like I think we would outlive the children because they're
Yeah,
we
yeah,
would
you would.
outlive we outlive
Yep.
the race of man.
It's like Highlander, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah,
hate
like
that film.
sisters also are extremely long lived, and you two are still young for Rangers, right? You're in your like what 50s and 60s?
Yeah.
You know, Aragorn lived to be 221, I think.
Yeah. And not long after that, Owen died because she gave up her.
She chose to, yeah.
I'm even
Yeah,
young
so
for an
you're
elf.
gonna outlive these children as well.
Yeah. And I'm even young for an elf, even though I'm all over 2,000 years old.
I mean, if we're honest, I think Hamson will outlive the children as well. Because hobbits, well,
You're not making it any better. You're not helping here.
That's the whole point.
We never said we would, to be
in our
fair.
next session, we're going to have, just for everybody who's watching, in our next session, we're going to have an epilogue of the old age, the twilight years of all of these children, as our adventurers are still young and hale, and
Next
these
session's
children
gonna be
are all
therapy
dying
for
in their
me.
beds.
Yeah, cursing us
And
from taking
also
them away from their real father.
Wow.
And we will also have a therapy session.
We need
I
it.
mean, I think you need it, Ange.
Yeah, I do.
So, you've crafted this keepsake for him.
Yes, we did.
Are you going to give it to him tonight or in the morning, or?
No, I'm going to give it him tonight because tomorrow will be a bustle of getting the children
Okay.
done and
So-
making sure that their beds go with them because they can't leave their beds. He's made them beds. Just like
So-
out there.
Right.
They will outgrow those beds.
You got. Shut up, you. We're going to
Hey,
take the 30
so
beds. with
What you
us.
don't know is that over the next many years, every time, I'll tell you this to make you feel better, every time Digger, don't worry, I'm not going to punch you in the gut again. Every time Digger comes to the mill to breed his sows, he's also going to craft beds for all of the children, even as they grow into old age.
Yay!
Every time he
sweet.
visits.
And will they all visit him and then they'll be friends forever?
Yes, absolutely.
Yay! Friends
There you
forever.
have
And,
my bond.
and he'll see them have children and everything, and then he'll make beds for their children's children.
Maybe.
And everything, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Feel better now.
So as you take the keepsake to him, he's actually in his workshop, and he's so intently focused on something as you walk in. Do you want to see what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't you ruin this really nice picture I've got of Digger now by saying he's like
I'm
doing
not.
something bad, like sewing kids'
He's not.
skins together or something.
Yeah, I
Okay.
took away hope for
Oh
them.
my god. Oh my god.
That was
man.
like, wow.
Jeez. No, so he's so intently focused as you walk in, and you notice first that he's sharpening an axe. Just methodically sharpening this axe, one stroke at a time, as he's looking at a sheet of paper that's written out in Dwarven. And for the purpose of the scene, I'm going to imagine that you've picked up some Dwarven
Okay.
at some point. And looking over his shoulder, what you see is a map of what looks to be the kind of like the local area and the area to the north. And on the map are, we'll say, 7 dots. And next to each one of those dots are the names of some of the children. And he's studying it and sharpening his axe.
Going to avenge the killers, the children's families' killers. Well, it is in my head anyway.
And then he notices you and is like, oh, and he makes no action to hide what he was doing. Puts the axe on the workbench,
I say, we made you this.
and he takes it and he looks at it, and he kind of holds his head down so you can't really see him that much, and you see him kind of do one of these real quick and looks up, and he says, what's this for then?
Just, it might be useful. It's just a gift. No words have to be said.
So is it designed to be like hung, or is it just a bit of wood? Like, what is it?
Maybe it's something that could be like put onto like a sword or like a sheath, like a you know when you get like a kiwi, it's like something like that.
Sure.
So it's like a.
So
a
yeah,
weapon.
he reaches over and he grabs, a fresh thong of leather and kind of works it into it, and ties it off really well, and threads it into his harness that he has. It's kind of like a blacksmith slash workman's kind of harness. He says, he stands up and he nods and he takes his axe and he, seats it into the place where his hammer once was. And he takes the map and he rolls it up and slides it into a pocket. And he nods at you and he starts to leave the workshop.
I would just say, you're going to avenge their families, aren't you?
And he stops next to you and he turns and he looks up at you. And he puts his hand on your arm. And he says, "You understand."
That's fine. Because I have insight into the future and I know that you will do that, but you will still return every year to the children.
She's a witch! Burner!
Because that story can't change the narrative now in my head. Otherwise I won't sleep tonight.
So you go to sleep finally after giving your gift and everyone else rests. In the morning, Digger is still there. So he was leaving to, go to the bunkhouse. He was or to the sawmill. He was gonna sleep, just like everybody else. But you notice a few things. If you go out into the yard, the first thing you notice is that the tower that Narniel spent as much time as she could kind of rebuilding has been rebuilt better and now carved on and looks like a proper watchtower. If any of you go to look inside, where a lot of the kind of wax drawings that the children have made, they've actually been tooled out now to be deep etchings and done in a lot more detail. He's also on the inside of the tower, like, inscribed the names of all the children. But he's out, preparing all the supplies and everything that they'll need to go back to Archit. And yeah, so everybody's ready to move and head back to Archit.
Well, okay. With the 13 beds.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's easier bringing the 13 beds than it is making them new ones at Archit.
Oh, yeah. Good point. We'll head back to Archit.
It'll probably
then.
make some form of, pull-along sled thing with the wood just to be able to carry him back.
Oh, well, at first light, some of the men went back to Archit, and they've now come back. They've got a cart, and, they figured they might as well use the sows that are already
Did they bring our horse?
impregnated. Huh?
Did they bring our
They
horse?
could have if you asked them to.
Did we have...
Because, I mean, it's not like the elves sleep.
Well, I don't have a horse, but...
But if you would think about it, you might suggest it to some of your companions. If you saw the men leaving in the morning and inquired to what they're doing.
Elves don't sleep, right?
That's my point. So, do you think you would have inquired and then maybe...
I am an elf, if a wood elf that would care for animals, so yeah.
Sure. Okay. So,
I do not care for spiders.
Right. So I imagine you probably... I mean, Shaydon noticed this as well, so I imagine he probably would want his horse brought. What about Hamson?
Hamson will be too busy cleaning up, ready to go back.
Okay.
A happy house is a clean house.
It's true.
Didn't we say we were going to visit the mounts on the way back so you could give Daisy the honeyed carrot?
Yes, we are going to go back to the horses. Yes, because we've got to feed Shadon's horse.
Right.
The good
So you head back to Archit, and the people of Archit have been warned, isn't the right word, informed that a lot of children would be coming. And so there's actually pretty much all the children of Archit kind of there, as the children from the mill are climbing the ladder to go up to the platform, except for Myrna, because she's still kind of hurt. And what you see happen is, noticing this, or possibly having been prepared for it, Digger tells Myrna to put her legs in kind of a leather stirrup contraption that he's made in the evening, and he belts her in, and he climbs up the ladder carrying her. And then everybody's up in Archit now, and yeah, there's lots of children out meeting the new children. Everybody's very, very happy. The beds are being brought up by the crane elevator type deal, and Lissa, the Fitch's wife, is directing that all of the beds be taken into the main hall. That any visitors will have to be put up with some of the other villagers for now. We're going to house all the children in the main hall for the time being. And Lissa is being introduced to all the children, and so is Fitch's son. And yeah, everybody seems pretty happy about things.
We've
Digger,
done good.
Yeah, Digger is offered a bed until Fitch returns as well, because they still need to hammer out, what's going to be acceptable. But Thomas continues to say, "Hey, I'm certain I can get Fitch to agree with us." But yeah, Fitch is not here.
He's been gone 2 days now, or also 1 day?
Just a day.
Did you say how long he normally goes for?
2
day or
3 days?
A few days, yeah.
A few days.
Maybe we should.
So I wouldn't, if they said that he would be gone for about 2-3 days, I'm not worried yet.
Okay.
I've seen his techniques with his bow and his skill, so...
Well, maybe we should go and track him and help him get rid of this troll once and for all. Because the children mentioned that they'd seen trolls.
I thought you wanted to talk to the troll.
I will try to talk to the troll first, and then if the troll refuses to be nice, you
Stab it.
can stab it.
Yeah, stabby.
Stabby back.
I think I could do that. Yeah.
I mean, this
I
troll
took
is
out those
obviously
giant
plaguing the
spiders, didn't I?
area.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
honorably,
assuming-
if we get there and we let the person that has the last stab would be fit.
So assuming that Narniel and Hampson tell you what they'd learned from the children, remember that we know that pretty much all of the children have the same story of a group of orcs of goblins led by a troll raiding their homesteads, and the children were told to run, right? So
Trolls weren't that smart that they could lead.
The
I mean,
families
it's
might be
as
alive
far
still.
As far as kids are concerned, if they're at the front, they're leading.
that's a good point.
That's how I envision it in my head. They're literally just the trolls in the front.
Yeah.
With a gaggle of orcs and goblins behind him.
Also, I mean, trolls aren't unintelligent. They might not be super smart, but they're not unintelligent, and they
No, I'm
are
not saying
stronger
they're not
than orcs and
intelligent,
goblins. So
not
strength
intelligent
usually
enough
leads.
to be a leader.
Yeah, but if you're the strongest, if you're the biggest and the strongest in a group, especially of orcs and goblins,
Yeah.
just saying, it could go either way. I'm not trying to create expectations.
No, but
But
all-
that
all
is
that's
what the children said.
Yeah. So I think we would have discussed it during the night. I think, probably with the people from Archer. It's like, right, this is what the kids have told us. Just so they didn't go there and like their elders or anything wanted to ask them a load of questions. Like, these are the basics that we know.
And if you look at your map, just so we're all clear, the area that all of the children's homesteads are in are kind of all... I'm assuming you can all see what I'm drawing here.
No.
No.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
They're kind of all dotted around in that general area.
Okay.
So we need to comb that area. It's only going to take like 3 weeks. 4 tops.
For Nost. Have we heard anything in the grapevine from, what does that say? Fun.
There's a grapevine here.
Fornost,
Where? I can brew some wine.
Fornost is a ruin.
Oh, okay, fair.
Also heard of people refer to it as a haunted place.
Okay. So just from looking at that, my thought would be that's where the hold up. But yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
So you want to hunt for troll?
I think we should. It's our duty to maybe try and rid this area of this troll. It's wreaking havoc and destroying families, so we need to help Fitch. But let Fitch have the final kill, because
but if Fitch,
it killed his
Fitch
father.
has been hunting it all these years, and he hasn't been able to do it.
We've got you, Shadon. You're an excellent tracker.
So are you guys talking about this anywhere in particular? Are you having this conversation?
I imagine we'd have come up and helped everybody unpack or get the beds and everything, and then probably gone to like the main hall, because that's the only general communal place that we know of. Because obviously all the children would have gone with prospective people.
But my point is, you're not having this conversation in secret.
Probably
necessarily.
No, because we're looking like we want to help. So
Sure, yeah. So as you're having a conversation, Digger actually comes over, and he says, "Y'all are heading north to hunt this troll and these goblins."
yes.
Oh,
Needs to do it.
yes. I think we need to sort this troll out.
The area's plagued.
Do you need an extra axe?
Yes.
We'll never say no to this extra cutting.
And he puts his map out that Ange saw in the workshop. And yeah, it outlines where all of the homesteads are. And he says, "I've been working on this for a while, but I've been too busy looking after the children. I'd be happy to accompany you."
Well, I think every bit of help would.
That's delightful. Yes.
Why?
I think that would help.
That Digger's going to be a blue shirt or a red shirt. I mean.
No, we won't know, because we know.
Right. He comes back every
Ange is
year.
gonna do everything
it's
she
canon.
can to protect him. Oh yeah, I already said that,
He's
didn't
got
I?
plot armor.
Yep.
Digger
Or-
lives
It's
forever.
canon.
No.
Yep, no, the story's been
No.
written.
Aegon
Changed.
and Tristan live forever as long as they aren't killed, but
Digger lives until a ripe old age
Yes.
for a dwarf.
yeah, but I still feel that he is now a red shirt.
No, it's more of a brown. And you also notice as he went to travel this morning, it's not quite as apparent, but he is wearing mail underneath his workman's harness.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about his actual clothes. I was talking about Star Trek.
I know, Scoon. So yeah, shall we leave it there for tonight and have our final session be hunting the troll and the orcs in the north?